Okay. 6:30. Looks like everybody is here. So I will officially call this meeting to order for December 11th, 2025 for the Ashland School Board. I'll let the record show all 5 directors are present. And we will have Alice read the land acknowledgement tonight.
All right. We acknowledge that the sacred land that we live and learn on today belongs to the Takelma, Shasta, Modoc, Klamath, and Umpqua peoples. We honor and acknowledge the traditional owners of the land we now call the United States. We recognize the Native American peoples' continuing connection to the land, place, waters, and community. We pay our respects to their cultures, country, and elders, past, present, and emerging.
Thank you, Alice. Okay, so the first item I have is the adoption of the agenda, and I believe we had one change, which was we were going to table the curriculum adoption discussion. So that's item number 8, K-12 science curriculum update, correct? So we'll be moving that to the January meeting. So other than that, I will take a motion to accept the agenda. Adopt the agenda as presented.
I move to adopt the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Okay. And next up, we have the consent agenda, and it's quite packed this session. We have the approval of minutes from our past 2 regular and work sessions, the personnel reports, the enrollment reports, our standard reports, Pinehurst tuition and transportation agreement, and then a slew of policy updates, which are all listed. If anybody has anything they want to pull from those policies to discuss, I will take any requests at this point. Anyone? I did actually have a couple of things I just wanted to briefly, not really about the policies itself, but just sort of more about the process, just so we're clear on what we're doing. So this was regarding the artificial intelligence policy, policy IKJ, and the other one was the one that is listed under, oh my gosh, policy JHCA, immunizations, school sports participation, concussions, and other brain injuries. So I think it's probably easiest if we just discuss that very briefly now and then go ahead and approve it as discussed. Okay. So I just had 2 questions related to those. So the first one I'll just ask, as you see, there's usually 2 items listed, which is the red line and then the proposal. So those are, what we're changing in the policies. But this one regarding the sports injuries, I'm just a little confused. There's a 3rd item, which is a separate listing, JHCA, JHCBD1 immunizations, ASD delete. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that because to me, it looks like we were deleting our immunization policy for students. So I just want to understand what we're deleting there and whether that is instead being addressed in a different policy then.
I don't have it in front of me, but what I remember it being is that the recommendation would be to delete what we currently have and replace it with the OSBA's new version, which addresses the immunization.
So I guess the what I wasn't following was the 2 that are presented, which look completely appropriate. So you've got the red line and then the proposed new wording, and that's regarding sports participation, where you have to document immunization status for sports. And then the one that we're deleting looked like it was a more general vaccination policy. So I just wanted some clarity on what.
Yeah. So part of it is the one that's being deleted was it was JHCA/JHCB. Mm-hmm. And so what OSBA is now recommending is just JHCA. And so it's a replacement policy from the old one. And yeah, you'll see the red line also added language. So it's separating out vision screening, eye exam, dental screening, putting in the concussion and other brain injuries. So it is kind of a replacement. An addition. It might not.
So my question is there a separate policy that students in general, not sports related, have to document any immunization status when they are registering for school? And you can get back to me on that.
Yeah,
That's-
I'll double check.
Okay.
I don't recall.
Just when I was looking at that, I haven't seen that before.
Okay, and I don't know if either of the other committee members remember that off the top of your head?
Yeah. I do remember that it was at OSBA's recommendation to combine them into one. But I will say, because of the question, let's go ahead and I would recommend pulling this specific one from the consent agenda tonight. And
Maybe
then
we can
inviting
come
it
back
to
to
come
it.
back at the next meeting.
Are you okay with that?
Because it's just
for,
first read.
This is first read.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that okay? All right, are we okay with that? Sorry, I just popped on me today and I didn't have time to look any further into it. And then just because this is kind of a Wizard of Oz situation, we talked about the AI policy at the work session. And then, then we get this beautiful new elaborate policy, which is wonderful. And I am just curious, where does it come from? Is this OSBA recommendation? Did Steve Mitzel author all of this wonderful new language? And just out of curiosity, because this is something that, we're just going to see evolving so rapidly, and I want to know where our policy and information is coming from.
The AI policy that's presented to the board tonight is a combination. It's actually, the Ashland School District had an AI policy before OSBA even recommended one.
Yes, exactly.
And it was one of the better policies out there.
Yes.
And then OSBA provided a recommended policy. We merged the two.
Okay.
And so this is probably one of the more robust policies right now in Oregon. So that's what we're recommending, both the policy that the current ORS is represented in the policy, as well as our kind of initial language that was out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay. All right, that's it for me. So if nobody else has questions.
Well, I just want to say thank you to my colleagues for the extensive policy notes, because there was a ton of them in here. So that's super helpful.
Yeah, some heavy hitters here.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to give a special thanks to Holly, who made that process as seamless as it could be. So thank you.
Okay, so then I will take a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of that one policy that we will come back to.
And I just want to clarify that we're not approving policies here. This is
No,
just
no,
a
no,
first
sorry.
read.
This is approving the consent agenda.
Right.
Not the policies.
And the policies are just first read.
Yes.
Yep.
So I will take a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
All in favor? Okay, thank you. Okay, that's a lot of pages. All right, we should be number 5. Are you gonna find it? So next up, we have our school presentation. We have Trails with us this evening. We're fast. All right, so welcome Erica Bratton from Trails. Sorry.
It's okay. Okay, all right, let's see if I remember. You want to sit down? You can sit down. Kind of.
Okay, well, good evening. So tonight I am here to present some information about Trails Outdoor School, and then I was hoping that Amanda Groover, our teacher for Ashland Connect, could be here to do the Ashland Connect part, but she's not, so I'm doing both. And I know I got a 20-minute time crunch, and now I don't have my phone to keep track. So I'm gonna try to go at a quick clip. Okay, so this presentation, I'm gonna start with Trails, and really both presentations are really focused on what we're doing really well, what we are doing well, and also a look really at the data that we analyzed this year and where we are focusing our priorities and our energy, as well as especially for Trails, maintaining the integrity of that outdoor education focus. So just give me a second. If I just push the arrow, I'm good. Okay, so Trails Outdoor School, we've got Trails stands for Trust, Respect, Awareness, Interdependence, and Leadership Stewardship. And It was founded in 2006, and it was been known for as John Muir Magnet School, and was renamed in 2022 and is now Trails. So we are now just in the middle of our third year in the brand new building over as part of AMS. So we're enjoying that, and we're also still moving in. Our mission has remained the same, which is to connect students with nature, hands-on, project-based learning, and mainly experiential, with a focus also on arts integration and music. And I just want to say that some of that has been lost over the last couple of years, and we're working on bringing that back because it still is really important to our school community. Am I on enrollment? Yeah. So who comes to Trails? I think there's a lot of different families that are attracted to Trails, and for many different reasons. I hear a lot of parents or families that are seeking out more of a Waldorf type education, or coming from homeschool, or also some from Montessori. So they're looking for something a little bit different, and I say non-traditional, and it attracts parents that are interested in having their kids outside doing, I guess, they're doing real things at school too, but in the environment. And also that integration, right? The art, not the arts, but the language arts, the math, and doing those things outside. They also are interested in that community. I think a lot of parents or families attracted to Trails because we do have this very strong family and family partnership. Our parents participate even more this year. I've seen so much involvement in all the things in all of our events, and then also volunteering on those outdoor education to make them happen. And they also do a lot of fundraising to support our programming. So we do, Then, I also wanted to mention that what I've seen, and this is my third year, is that there was a lot of fluctuation. I saw a lot of students coming into the school, leaving the school. We did have 6 classrooms, now we're down to 5. And I would say this is the first year that I really feel like things are stabilizing. And I think my hope, because I have seen the power of that program with students that are there for the duration. So if they're starting in kindergarten and they're going through the entire program, it really is a very beautiful, holistic, academically and social character-wise program. So I'm hoping that we can see more students growing up in Trails. I just really talked about what makes it unique. I don't think I need to spend any more time. There's a lot. And I think that, again, the hope is to revitalize some of those pieces that have been lost, like that art integration and bringing more of our community artists into Trails to teach and work with our kids, and then also bringing back a little more of the music focus. This is exciting because everyone's always adapting. There's always change. So I'm really proud of this. I don't know if anybody else attended, but I highly recommend you attend a Lego robotics competition. Yeah. Okay. Talk about an amazing learning experience. This is so cool. So it was at St. Mary's this weekend, and we had 2 teams. There were probably about 15 other, I'm sure you've heard AMS won. They did an amazing job. It was really cool. And so we have one group that took 5th place. That was a huge improvement from last year. And then the one we're really proud of is this Breakthrough Award, which was students, they had a rough time last year. It was hard. And this year they scored, I think it was like 100 points more, and they were recognized by Lego Robotics as being that Breakthrough Most Improved Award. So we're looking forward to that next year. And so now we're getting the assessment data. So Trails Outdoor School, just like all Ashland, outperforms the state in all subjects. And our area of improvement is really around math. So this year, I think we are already having conversations. We're working with our instructional coach, and we're looking at ways to really meet the needs of all the students. A lot of diverse needs, students coming in at all abilities. So how do we accelerate? And that's what we're asking. So we're integrating a lot of the mathematics into our outdoor education, as well as our other subjects. So we're looking at any way we can provide that extra supports to those students. Youth Truth, as I think I would expect a school like Trails, our engagement was high. Students are engaged. They like what they're doing. They like the outdoor ed. They like the integrated units. And what was really interesting is it was belonging that was something that we do need to work on. So I think we all agree it's a great opportunity, especially because we're in a new space, that we spend some time really having those conversations. It's a good thing for all communities to have conversations around what it means to belong. So we're embarking on that journey, and I think it's just going to be better. It's going to be great for everybody, for staff included. And family survey, again, we're really strong with the family relationships, family engagement, parents feeling empowered or, as agents in their children's education. And that shows here. Resources, we're working on building our MTSS system at Trails. It's been, and I think we're getting there. So I think our parents are going to respond more positively to that question this year. Our staff survey, they would love some more professional development focused on what they're doing as far as outdoor education goes and how to integrate the units. And then also they felt very safe in our new building. And then our baseline data just goes right along with what our data was in the spring. So it's nothing different. And that's what we really use to focus our efforts and our goals. And as you can see, you can read all these. We did some great work. That's all I can say. We really did a lot of data analysis in the OSAS, and we identified targets where we really need to work on, and you can see them right there. We're already talking about how we are doing that on a regular basis so that students are getting exposure to these word meanings, figurative language, brief writing text, brief writing prompts, and to hit all these targets. And the same goes with math. And I think this was true across Ashland when we looked at all the data, is that students they're great thinkers. They're thinking, they're using the habits of mind and discourse and deep reasoning. And then some of us need a little more help with those concepts, procedures, and operations. So we're really trying to give that opportunity for students to really master those things, which you do need. And I think, again, I don't know my timing, so am I doing okay, Holly? Okay. And again, using IXL. IXL has been really wonderful for setting targets for students and having real in-time conversations about where they're at. iReady was great, and it didn't really tell them that. So IXL is giving that feedback immediately, and that helps our teachers to more easily set goals with those students, and then the students can see how they're doing and where they're going, which I think is it's research-based, good teaching practice. And so again, I already spoke to how we are really excited about this opportunity to define belonging as far as a community. There's a couple things here. I actually just want to point out the picture up at the top because this was one of the highlights of the last couple weeks. I noticed that parents were coming in quite at the same time every day. And this is Sabrina, who was a board member years ago. And she's leading a book group. So all the middle school teachers got some parents to come in, and they're leading those book talks. And so they keep showing up. I love Sabrina because she brought her little whiteboard, and she had the, and I don't know, I stood there and just listened to the conversation. Anyway, I could go on and on, but this is the kind of stuff that I think is really meaningful for our entire community. So I just wanted to highlight that. And I think, Trails is committed to growth. We're committed to sticking with the mission and the belief that all these things really matter that we do, the outdoor education, the nature connection, the arts integration, and also the music, because it really does create a holistic learning environment where along with that rigor and the focus on academics, we're going to do really wonderful things for not only the students, but for also the community and our parents. And so I did include, because this didn't focus so much on outdoor ed, last year our PowerPoint really was focused on that. So if you wanted to see more about that or just see the pictures, hopefully that link works. Okay, so I'm going to transition to Ashland Connect.
Do you mind if I ask a Trails question, just to make sure I'm understanding what's on the slides?
Sure.
Great. There was a reference to an easy CBM. Can you just detail what that means for me?
Yeah, so Easy CBM is it's our assessment that we use for screening like letter sound recognition. It's usually, I mean, we do use it for all the grades because it has reading fluency also, but that's typically, we use that for the K2 because they don't take OSAS.
Got it.
So, yeah.
And then can you just describe to me, in your opinion, the difference between the OSAS, the Oregon State Assessment, and the IXL data? And are they measuring two totally different things? Is it the same thing in two different ways?
That's a okay, so I will give you my opinion or my perspective, but I am not. I think for us, we've asked a lot of questions about that just because this is new. And what I can say is I do think there is a correlation. Again, it takes a little more diving in and understanding because you can do the strands. So it takes a little more just teasing out the information, but I think that we will see more alignment. And we're going to be using different reports in IXL to help us match up with those targets that we identified. Because otherwise, we're not going to know how our kids are doing, right? That was a great question.
Thank you, that's helpful.
Sure. Anybody else? I'm sorry. I just didn't want to take up more of your time, so
I have a question that you might not be able to answer tonight, but it's just a curiosity.
Sure.
And if we could get the information at some point, I'd love it. I think one of our strengths as a community is that we have different programs, different options for different types of learners to engage with our district and grow with us. And I also think that regardless of whatever modality of education we use for kids, the whole goal is, are we preparing them well for whatever success is for them, whether that's academic and college or whatever else they might want to do. So it's a pretty open-ended question, but I'm just curious if we have any data on not just Trails, but really Willowin and all of our schools, how well we're preparing them for whatever their next steps are, right? So how well to make it targeted again, how well did Trails kids do when they move on from Trails into whatever the next step is for them? Just, if we have that information, I'd be really curious about that.
I've asked the same question. And we've talked about how to pull that data. And I think it ended there. Like, how do you do that? And then I think it was, and this is why, I mean, my hope is that, it's something that I would like to see. It's just, we may not be able to get it for the past, especially because of COVID. But I do think it's really important that we start tracking it because I am very curious. So what that looks like and figuring out who those students, I think that was the hard part.
Sure.
Were they at Trails for 8 years or 2 years or?
Yeah. Yeah, and I know it's a very slippery thing, and then how do you define success? Because it's not as simple as, are they getting A's in whatever subject and whatever the next step is, right? So success can be different for a lot of different kids, but I'm glad that we at least share the curiosity about how they're doing.
Oh yeah, no, we do. I think I talked sometimes to the high school. Like, I've asked teachers, how do you think Trails students do? But and I don't know. That's kind of anecdotal, right? So, but yes, I think that's worthwhile to look into. Okay, this one, it won't be as free flowing. I'm gonna kind of go off the script here. Okay, so Holly, exit. Let's see if I can beat you. Nope. Okay, so wrong wrong school. Here we go. Okay, so in case you didn't know who Ashland Connect is our personalized K-8 virtual learning program. And we did revisit our mission this year, and our mission is to nurture independent learners through personalized online instruction, weekly one-on-one guidance, and opportunities for connection and growth. So we currently are serving 15 students, and we always do anticipate steady growth. Last year, we saw a big increase toward the end of the year, and I think we ended up with about 35 students. So historically, enrollment increases by 60 to 75%. We also, one of the things that we do that I think is really great and so critical to these students' success is that we have a half an hour in-person meeting with Amanda, our teacher, each week. That's great. That helps keep kids on track, and that also gives them time with a teacher. We, again, doing those one-on-one meetings with every student, that really, what I've seen is just super strong relationships with some students that really struggle with things like anxiety or, not really wanting to be at school. So it's been a real kind of a stepping stone to getting some of our students back into school. And that's been one of our big successes. So that's through relationships and trust building with the parents and the student. Then this is our fall assessment data. So we did show strong performance in language arts and with across all grades with math, especially in our upper grades. Well, actually, I'm sorry. Math is identified as another area of growth.
And to double check, that was percentage of students that are meeting or exceeding.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oops. So I just don't know what I just did. There, I think. Yeah. So this slide, I think, is really one of the most important things that we came away from just preparing this presentation was we really were curious as to what the same kind of question, Russell, you just asked was what does it look like for an Ashland Connect student that's really been in the program? So what we found is if they're enrolled in the program, then they do really well. It's the students that come in and then leave or are bouncing back and forth that they're not doing as well. So longevity or duration means that our students really do well in our program. And then we've got 75% of our students of that 15 have been with us for enrolled for more than 1 year. And those students they're doing well. This year we've added our math intervention, so we're providing intervention services. So for students that are behind grade level, they are coming in to school a little bit more and actually participating in that RTI or the MTSS system. So that's been a really good service to offer. And our goals, 100% of students show measurable growth by June 2026. And that was on the state assessment, and at least 5% improvement on IXL in math and ELA. And this was our district support needed. So I think it was really about engaging the families and exploring creative growth opportunities for our program. We do have a lot of inquiry, or not a lot, but we have some inquiry about expanding different curriculum options, because for some students online only is really hard, or it's hard for the families and they really would like a textbook. Or so we have conversations about that, about what that might look like, and I think it's a worthwhile exploration. And then also just looking at other programs and how they expand offerings to students who want to do more of the homeschool program. And then, as I said, our strengths are those one-on-one weekly meetings and then a strong student-teacher connection. We work a lot with students and connecting them with outside resources. And I think that's probably about it because I feel like my time is way up. No way. You can try me with a question.
I do have a question. So it looks like most of our Ashland Connect students are in the program, between 1 and 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a sense of what they tend to move on to, or after their K through 8 experience, are they enrolling in high school? Are they going to other online programs? Do you have a sense of
I
where
do.
they go?
My sense is that they do. That's me. That they go on to other online programs.
Okay.
Or to even a different alternative, not the high school program. But yeah, they mainly stick with online.
And a question for Superintendent Hattrick, that would be classified as one of our transfers to the online charters. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, thanks for your time and your ear, and I'll see you later on tonight.
All right, thank you, Erica. Now, just to clarify, we do have an online high school program that's separate, right?
And what is that program called?
Grizz Online?
Grizz Academy?
Grizz Online.
Grizz Online, thank you.
Grizz Online Academy. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so let's see. We are skipping item 8. Oh, no, wait, we're not there yet. So item 6 is our inclement weather report. So we have Director of Operations Steve Mitzel.
Are you going to give this with a green screen?
Good evening, and thank you for having me as usual. Last year when we had our Snowmageddon, our 5 days of wonderful winter weather, we were asked a question over and over again. What is your process? Who makes the decision, and how do you come to that decision? And so we thought this year we would get before the board and our community and just kind of walk you through what happens around a snow event. There are a lot of reasons to close schools, but this particular conversation is around inclement weather. So for us, it starts the night before. As we know, we live in a challenging climate or a microclimate here. It can be a blizzard conditions over at Bellevue Elementary and doing nothing at Hellman Elementary. So we try to get together with the region the night before. If we can make a decision the night before, we will, but it's rarely the case in Ashland in particular that we'll have enough information to make a decision the night before. But we will meet with all regional superintendents. We'll meet with other operations directors. We meet with the National Weather Service desk and get as much information as we can going into the evening. As I said, we don't very often get to make a decision the night before. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 times in my career here that we've been able to do that. Then the fun starts. At about 3:30 a.m., 4 a.m., our transportation director, Melissa Roberts, is out on the road. Oftentimes, I will be up and ready to receive those phone calls, and I start making phone calls myself. First one is to Dr. Hattrick. Oftentimes, we will be on the road ourselves and checking out all the bus routes as well as our facilities, because in addition to making sure that the roads are safe, we have to make sure that our facilities are safe. If we can actually get our kids to the schools, we have to make sure that they're able to receive kids and that we don't have snow on stairs and sidewalks and such. So that process usually takes us about an hour to an hour and a half. And obviously, we're in the weather at that point. Check in with the National Weather Service again, check in with a ODOT representative, checking with a Jackson County representative, checking with a City of Ashland representative, and making sure that we have all the information that we can possibly get before we make a decision. Our hope is to make a decision by 5:30 a.m. That often will float closer to 6 a.m. That's when our first bus drivers arrive at the bus barn there. So we try to make the decision before then. But we're also trying to give ourselves as much time as possible because, as you know, things can change quickly in Ashland, and sometimes that's for the better and sometimes that's for the worse. But we have to get information out. We have to make a decision. So we generally would try to make that decision by 5:30 a.m. And our first alerts will go out between 5:30 and 6 a.m. Those alerts go to the local media. They go to our website, and our website banners are uploaded. They will also go to our leadership, our principals, and our cabinet and district office. And then about somewhere between no later than 6:30, but somewhere around 6:15, those messages start going out to families directly. So if you're an early riser, or if you're just curious what's going to happen, check our website. That's going to be the first thing that gets updated, followed closely by local media, so your TV stations and your radio stations. And then those messages will go out directly to all of our contact lists no later than 6:30 a.m. And that's pretty much the process. There have been a few where we've made a decision to go ahead and start school on time, and it starts snowing at 8 o'clock, a half an hour before school starts. There's times where we've had to release school early because we saw something coming in the morning that was going to snow through the afternoon, and it was a surprise. So we don't always get it right, but we try to make the best decision we can with the information that we have. And through the years, I think there's only a few that we can feel like we absolutely made the wrong decision. And that's because I can't forecast what Mother Nature's going to do at all times. So, but our goal is to keep kids safe, keep our staff safe, keep our community safe. It was a surprise to me to know how many people lean on us to make their decisions. We have agencies all over Southern Oregon that lean on us to make that decision, and they just follow suit. So I try not to think about that pressure. I feel like if I'm doing what's right for our students and our staff, then everybody else should follow suit, in my opinion. And oftentimes that's Jackson County or the city of Ashland telling us, please stay off the road. Don't get out there right now. So anyway, that's the process. It's not something I enjoy doing. It's not something that anybody enjoys doing. It's a lot of pressure. At the end of the day, I make the recommendation to Dr. Hattrick, but I can say it's his call at the end of the day. So I don't know if you want to add anything more to that, but.
No, I mean, perfect description. Huge kudos to our transportation director and Steve Mitzel. Those are not fun days. So when people are all excited about snow, you will not see me excited about snow because that does mean sleepless nights. Yes, the process begins the night before, talking to the weather service and superintendents, but Steve and I are texting throughout the night. We don't sleep. We're probably up looking, like the kids are looking for Santa Claus all night. We're looking for snowflakes about every hour. And so it is exhausting, but they do an incredible job gathering all the data as objectively as possible so that I can make a really informed decision. I also tend to have either families, board members, points of contact throughout the community that I will reach out to just so I can also get kind of a lay of the land. So I'll be driving around, talking to Steve, talking to people around the community also just to get kind of a really good picture of our region because it is so different everywhere. And so gathering all of those data points are great. And I'm incredibly appreciative for our families' patience because those decisions are popular or unpopular at the exact same time. So we can't make everyone happy. We make the decision what's best for our students and safety. So, and like Steve said, we did great last year, but that's not always the case. Mistakes can happen. Weather can change in a second, and we can call a snow day, and then it's a beautiful spring-looking day. So those things happen. Hopefully, we always get it right, but not always. But so we're really appreciative of people's understanding as we work through those processes. So thank you again, and happy to answer any questions.
No snow days this year. That's my hope.
I guess I'm just curious. I know when you make those decisions, a lot of times it seems like, we're sort of living here in this valley, and obviously we have to be cognizant that the people up in the hills are seeing something very different. Yeah. And I think that's where maybe some of the, pushback comes, like, oh, well, my students can get to school, so it should be fine, right? At what point do you say, well, if we can't run a bus up the hill,
it actually happens quite frequently. A lot more than you may know. We have a pretty close relationship with those mountain route families, and so those are direct phone calls, and that's a separate decision that we make all winter long. We have to make those decisions daily, and typically we're running our buses behind the plows as they go up 66. County will call us and say, here's when we're heading up, and we just get in line behind them. If we can't get up to the mountain route, Mount Ashland, we'll call those families and let them know that we're not going to be able to get to you today. There's times where we've had to release those kids early to get them home. safe. So yeah, the mountain routes in particular are a different subset of transportation decisions on a daily basis. And then we have snow routes in town. If we actually feel like above the boulevard is what they call it is treacherous, we can't get up Park Street or we can't get up Church Street, we'll switch to snow routes, which means parents need to bring their kids down to the main arteries, which would be Ashland Street or Siskiyou Boulevard, and we'll pick them up there. No snow routes are posted on our website. So that can happen as well. Generally, if that's happening, we're usually leaning towards a delayed start anyway. And so we haven't had to do that very often, but it's a tool that we can lean on if we have to. So we're very aware of the different microclimates and elevation changes in our town. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
And community members, don't be alarmed when you see slow cars driving through your neighborhood. We've had problems when some of us are driving around and they get a little alarmed when our slow cars are driving around. It's been funny.
Yeah. Anything else?
All right,
Thank you.
Okay, so next we have English Learners Data Report, and that will be with Director of Student Services, April Harrison. And Delana.
Oh, there we go. I'm the elementary English language development teacher and EL coordinator for the district. So.
Look at that. Okay. So thank you, Delana, for coming with me. We wanted to just present really quickly about our EL program. We're updating our EL plan this year and wanted everyone here to hear all of the amazing, wonderful things that this program is doing to help our students. So that's what we're going to do tonight. So wanted to this is from 24-25, and we're hoping to do this every December for you as we move forward. So this will be the first one. So we'd love feedback, and we'll probably make it more robust as we go along, but this is our starting point. So did you want to go ahead?
So from the data, we got a packet of data from the state recently, and so last year, these were last year's numbers, so 53 students served, and we have 4 staff. We have me in elementary level and an EA. Oh, that changed. We have another EA at the at the middle school now. So we have an EA at the middle school. We have a part-time teacher at the middle school, and then a part-time teacher at the high school as well. So yeah, we have one more. Yay. And we have SIOP is Sheltered Instructional Operational Protocol, and which is sheltered instruction is a model to teach English learners during content instruction. And we have 66 staff trained in that. And that's actually part of our EL plan, is if you teach English language learners, you should have that training.
One thing we are working towards, these are numbers since 2021. There may be some staff that were trained earlier than that, so that number might be higher. It's about 45% of our staff. We'd really love to see everybody trained, but we'll work on that.
That's a goal.
It's a goal. It's a personal goal for us. So.
We do have, I think, 7 teachers signed up right now for this year's classes that start in January. So our program model is in elementary, we do mostly pull-out groups, which is a small group. They're pulled out either by grade level or multi-grade level, but have matching language levels. So if they're all beginning level, they're together in or intermediate or advanced. And then I have one class right now that I actually push into, but that's less common. And then at the secondary level, they have dedicated ELD classes that they do. And then, like I said before, they should all be getting sheltered instruction in their core content areas.
So some of the program highlights I'll let Delana talk about in a minute, but I wanted to boast about the team. So this team of 4, small but mighty, and they put on and I'll let her tell you about them in a moment, these amazing activities to engage our families and to help them build a sense of community within this small group of 35 students.
Yeah, it was, last year we started, it's really a requirement that we should be doing this, and it hadn't been done in the past, and so last year we really focused on this, and we threw, it was like a programmatic overview for families, and it was our ELD family night, which was in November. We did another one this year in November. No, this year's early December. Anyways, so we do a programmatic overview. We serve a dinner. We got food from Falafel Republic, and then we played a big bingo game, and it was so great. I had this mom come up to me. She's from Japan, and she's like, "I've never played bingo before. That was so much fun!" And so I was so excited. So it was really great. And it was like a cultural bingo, so I had a bunch of things from all over Oregon that I created, and yeah, it was super fun. And then we also did a cookie baking night where families shared their family recipes, and we bought the ingredients, and we did it over at the high school in the culinary classroom. And there were a lot of families and kids that were there, and it was pretty wild. And we made a ton of cookies, and everyone got to share cookies and take cookies home. So that was fun. Yeah. And I'm going to plug ASF. The ASF gave us, we got a grant from them for all of the, for that money for the cookie night, and then games and prizes for the bingo. So, yeah.
So how do we pay for all of this? Title III, so what we have tapped into is the ESD. As part of the consortia with the ESD, we get funding. So we started tapping into that last year. So they help pay for also, between them and ASF, the family engagement nights. We're able to send staff to COSA to learn what best strategies are happening around the state. So we're usually able to send 1 or 2 people.
We brought 3 last year.
3 last year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Look at us.
I know. It's awesome.
And then it also pays for additional planning time. So she's doing all these wonderful things as our coordinator, our EL program coordinator. So that pays for additional staffing time for them to get together and plan, work on the manual, plan all these wonderful activities. So that's what Title III helps pay for. The Ashland School Foundation pays for the family engagement activities, as Delana was sharing. And then all of the rest of the funds would come from general fund. Okay, here's the fun part too. So wanted to share, actually, I'll let you share this because
This is really exciting. So on the state tracks us with it's called the ELPA, which is the English Language Proficiency Assessment, and we have to do it every year with all of our students. And they have a formula that they use that they have a growth formula that the students have to get every year. And it's called On Track to English Learning Proficiency. And anyways, so our data is, I think last year, it was 93%. And what was the state? It's 53%. So it's either the highest in the state or one of the highest in the state. So that was really exciting.
And then they also they break it out to On Track, and then On Track including students who also receive special ed services. And with that, we're at 57%, still well above the state at 26. However, we see that as an area of opportunity.
Yeah, and it's a really low number of students though,
Right.
too. Yeah,
Right.
So one student can really, adjust the percentages a lot, so, yeah.
So for course enrollment, just wanted to kind of, these wonderful numbers that we have for the CTE classes, 13 students, and we had 13 students that were able to take CTE classes, and they took 14. So that's amazing. And then we had 13 students again last year, and 4 of them were taking AP classes, which is wonderful.
Our students are doing really well.
Graduation rate for 24-25 for these students was 100%. And the 5-year was 80%. So they're doing wonderful things. The program is really supporting the students and meeting their needs, as we can see. And then we had to set a goal for next year.
Yeah, so we did it more of a maintenance goal since 93% is extraordinarily high. So we're going to do a maintenance goal of just maintaining 80% proficiency for On Track. So, and that's a really high goal too, actually. So hopefully we can keep that.
Yeah, with our small numbers, a swing with one student one way or another. So we were trying to be aggressively conservative. I don't know, realistic. Yeah. So so that's why we set the goal this way. Any questions for us?
I do. Help me understand, just from the last slide, how can 100% of people graduate in 4 years, but only 80% in 5 years?
We asked the same question we were looking at. It's a different if it's a different set, so it's a different starting date set. Yeah, we asked the same. I was like, this can't be right. This is wrong, and it was not wrong. Jennifer does not make mistakes when she shares this.
How many languages do we have represented in our district right now?
We did have that data. We can get that for you. There's a lot of languages. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can name off a few that I have in my my groups: Ukrainian, Russian, Spanish, Hindi, Thai, Chinese, Japanese, German, Punjabi. So there's a few.
Great, thank you. I don't need to request a follow-up on that, but
Okay.
next year's presentation, it would be awesome to have in it,
Sure.
just to celebrate what we
Yeah.
got going on.
Yeah, we have a lot of language diversity for sure. Yeah.
And just so I understand,
Yeah.
what do you mean when you say it was sheltered instruction, I think,
Yeah.
for the core? What does that mean?
So there's strategies for how you can provide instruction for English learners to make it more comprehensible input for them, like using visuals, for example, lots of visuals, and different. There's a whole protocol for things that teachers can do to make it easier to learn the content. So if you're teaching math, and there's ways that you can teach math and still make it so that students that don't understand the English can still learn the math, for example.
Okay, so that's happening in the classroom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then one other question, just how intensive is this PSYOP program? Is that something we can offer to all our teachers? Is that do we have to pay the people
So
to take these classes?
great question. It's offered through the SOESD, and we do have to pay for the substitutes for them to attend, but it's free for us through the ESD. So, yeah, we've been trying to get people to attend. Yeah, and in elementary, most of the elementary teachers have taken it. And then when I checked in with Alan, the ELD teacher at the middle school, he said that the middle school teachers, a lot of them got trained last year. So the ones that are teaching the EL students this year are all trained up. So yeah, we're doing a good job trying to get everyone in there.
Great, thank you.
I should have mentioned, we do set aside money from our title funding to pay for those subs.
Great.
Okay, thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we are moving past number 8 to the finance report. And that will be with Sherry Ely.
I'm going to dive right in. Nothing, again, dramatic to share with you guys compared to what I shared with you last month. We did finish the TAN payoff and convert it over to the full faith and credit. So that's all been done. So it's nice to have that behind us. Now we'll just have to deal with the debt service going forward. On the revenue, the main thing that I wanted to note is that our property tax collections in November came in higher than what we had projected. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. So that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to get more property taxes, because they could level out over the year. But I will keep an eye on it. If we're still trending high in February, I'll check with ODE and see if we can adjust our estimate so that we don't have to pay back so much in May of '27. That's just kind of the dance we do with funding. It's kind of up and down depending.
When would you be checking and making that decision?
Well, I'll check with them in February. I'll
Feb-
look and see how
okay.
our collections have been trending when we get to February.
Okay.
And then if it looks like we're still trending high, I'll ask them if I can go in and adjust our projections. And so what
Okay.
I would do is increase the amount of property taxes that we are estimated to receive. So that will lower our state school funding.
Okay.
And if we don't do that within the school year, then they would just make an adjustment. And when we get to May of '27 is when they do the actual final reconciliation for '25-26. That's when we would have to do that. So
Okay.
if all things stayed the same, we would just look at that at the end of the year. And if we look like we were high on our property taxes when we do our budget for '26-27, we would just adjust at that point because we would know we'd have to pay back something in May of '27.
Okay. Okay.
And Sherry, is our local operating levy also trending high?
It is trending a little bit high, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
And that fortunately does not affect our state school fund. So that's a good thing.
Exactly.
And then on the expenditure side, move down to that. We're still trending lower on our expenditures, which is a good thing. And so just keeping an eye on that, just kind of watching the fluctuations in the different areas where we're seeing any kind of changes at all as we're going through the school year. We did have one question on the detail report where last month we were showing that there weren't any expenditures in one of the functions, and so I made a note on that of why that was, that those positions were being paid for out of IDEA. And so since we're trending kind of high in expenditures in IDEA, we're going to move that, one of those teachers back to the general fund. So you'll see the expense coming through on those as we go through the rest of the year. And then we had another one. It was our function 2490 was not showing any expenditures so far for the year. So I checked with Michelle on that one, and that was for an admin TOSA, and we're not going to have that position this year. And so I'll adjust my projections for January to show that we're not going to have that expenditure in that line item. And go back. Just make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, so it looks like our ending fund balance at this point is trending well. Looks like an 8.7% of our expenditures. And so we'll keep an eye on that as we go throughout the year. That will balance out with revenues and expenditures. And so we'll just keep updating you guys on that. And also on the audit, we have finished the audit. I just received the draft right before I came in today, and so tomorrow I'm going to go through that and just make sure that what the auditors are reporting in the audit is matching what we have in our system, and then going through any of the changes that they've noted in the audit. So we'll have the presentation to you guys at the next meeting, at the January meeting.
Great.
But we will make our target for getting that into ODE by, I think it's the 2nd of January that we have to have that submitted. So we're on track for that, so we won't lose any state school funding or have a delay in state school funding. And then that's all I really have. I did include the special revenue report again for you guys so you can just see where we're trending on our special revenue accounts. So do you guys have any questions for me?
Sherry, just tell me, I don't know what the cycles are for this, for the finances for the schools. I'm always concerned about insurance. So how are we doing in terms of our, you express a little concern about the insurance?
Oh, for our healthcare fund?
Yeah, the healthcare fund,
So looking at how we're trending right now, just with the claims that have come in to date, we are looking like we're going to be using up some of the reserve for that fund. And so we'll just keep an eye on that. And part of that is because we have reduced staff,
Yeah.
the premium that the portion that the staff pays and then the portion that the district pays on behalf of the staff. That's what funds that program.
Right.
And so when you don't have as many staff, your funding level is going to be decreased. And so that's why we're keeping a really close eye on that as well.
Okay.
I would like to see that fund keep a reserve of about 1.2 to 1.5 million. And we're looking like we're dropping a little bit below $1 million right now. So that's why I want to keep a really close eye on that. And again, that's another one that it just depends on what kind of health claims our employees and families have. That's what affects that. And so that's a really hard one
Okay.
to predict
Okay.
what's going to happen with that fund.
So, in making that adjustment wouldn't really happen until closer to the end of the year.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I figured. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sherry. And Sherry, I believe you answered this, or Dr. Hatrick answered this in email for me, but if you guys could just share again, when do we start having a little bit more confidence in what next year's numbers will look like?
So the next revenue forecast will come in February. Dr. Hatrick and I are going to the OSBA and COSA conference at the end of January. That will give us a really good idea. ODE will be there, COSA will be there. They'll be presenting on what they're seeing. And so we should have a pretty good idea after that conference. And then after the revenue forecast comes in February, that'll give us some more confidence. I have heard from OSBA and COSA as well that they are pretty confident that we won't see a reduction in funding this year. And so it just might be something that we're looking at for next year. This is not new. For anybody that's been in education in Oregon for any length of time at all, this is the constant thing that we go through every year. With determining, are they going to reduce our funding? Are they not? Are they going to increase it? It's just, that's our life.
Yeah, thank you. And also I saw in your report, we have fully executed our loan, our full faith and credit
Yes.
loan. Are you able to share via email our repayment schedule?
Oh, sure.
For that, just our loan schedule would be
Yeah.
just a nice to know.
Yeah, so we did do the 7-year.
Yeah.
And so the way any kind of debt service works, the bond is the exact same way. You pay a payment in December, and that's a principal and interest payment. And then in June, you pay a principal payment. And so that's kind of the schedule. So it's always a December and June payment structure. But yeah, I can share that with you guys.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you, Sherry. Okay, so next we'll move on to recurring reports. We have James Johnson here from OSCA. Lead us off.
Okay, well, this will be short because I've been like eyes deep in the scavenger hunt for the last 3 days. I think most of you are familiar with it, but yeah, it's 3 days of the kids searching online to answer questions that SOU sent us on Tuesday morning. It was 32 questions and then 10 more about someone from Oregon, but they're parts A through F, so it's something like 120 to 150 questions. Our answer we sent back this afternoon was 98 pages. Because they have to cite them as the links in the site, and so each one we try and get 2 sources from it. So they're all toasty. At the same time, actually, we will be going to SOU on Tuesday to adjudicate, where they pick about a dozen questions and we defend and prosecute them. Someone will say like, well, you didn't quite have a really good source, or you missed this, or that. We argue and try and get the full points for it. It's good academic discourse at that age level. We're going to try and stop by the district office on the way back, so for a visit. And that is students from Ashland Middle School and Trails, and they do quite well. At the same time, this is the last week of rehearsals for the middle school play, Seussical Jr., which opens tomorrow, 7 o'clock, and Saturday, 7 o'clock, and a Sunday matinee at 2. Again, kids from middle school and Trails. Some of them are on the tech crew that I help with. 3 of those kids were doing both scavenger hunt and the play. we're all going to crash this weekend. What else is going on? Oh, one of the EAs at the middle school helped write a grant to ASF to replace 2 aging portable speakers. So we now have new upgraded portable speakers, a little more wattage, and the batteries actually work on this, and one Bluetooth or so. We use them for student activities. We have them in the cafeteria playing music when the kids are eating. Helps the behaviors. What else was I told? Over at the high school, they're a little short-staffed in the office, and that's kind of, obvious. And now that we're getting a few months into the year and we're into the winter, the reduction in hours is starting to pinch a little. But other than that, that's all I have. And I'll probably be going home soon.
Well, I highly encourage anybody who has never seen it. The scavenger hunt really is an amazing program, and the adjudication, as I understand, is open to the public, right? Can people come in, or is that not?
My understanding is not. It's just students and teachers.
Oh, I used to go as a parent.
They have
quite often.
restricted it more. It's more of a youth
That's too
protection
bad.
thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I understand that, but it is really an amazing program. So
And,
we should be proud
starting
of our kids who are doing it.
Thursday, we're going to start up Brain Bowl.
Nice.
Again, middle school, and I think we invited some from Trails to come and join. So that actually will start in January.
Okay.
But you can come to the play.
Thank you. And I appreciate your speakers. I live next to the middle school. I think I noticed the day that you got the new speakers. I was just like, whoa, what is going on over there? All right, thank you. Next, we have AAA report. We have Alan Porowski with us tonight.
All right, thanks. AMS has launched into trimester 2 with community outreach and opportunities, such as the Student Council's Doggy Dollar Drive running December 4th through 17th, inviting everyone to help support the Southern Oregon Humane Society by donating spare change. And the Mount Ashland Youth Ski Program beginning January 9th. Staff, students, and families are excited to see the first musical theater production of the year, Seussical Jr., premiering this weekend. December 18th, AMS presents the Deck the Halls performance featuring beginning band, concert band, and wind ensemble. There is much to celebrate, reflect upon, and look forward to with 2026 on the horizon. From the elementary schools, you will notice a theme. Bellevue, we finished conferences and had good attendance. We were confused by the timing since it was too late for goal setting, and we usually get a chance to speak to families sooner. Our Winter Care Box program is in full swing, and it is amazing to see families pitching in to help struggling families at this time of year. Hellman had great conferences with our parents, but really felt the stress and strain of trying to fit so many in only 2 days. Conference days were also made harder because they were so much later into the school year. We are looking forward to winter break when we can rest. Trails. Conferences were hard with just 2 days instead of 3, and because they were later in the year, the timing was challenging for goal setting. Also, our Trails Lego robotics teams did great at the regional competition, winning 5th place overall, and another team winning the Breakthrough Award. Also, our whole school hike-a-thon has begun, which is a Trails tradition where students will hike between 70 to 130 miles. Our 8th grade capstones include students working on food insecurities, organizing a fundraiser for Parker House, doing an internship at a local bakery, and teaching aerial arts to youngsters and more. Walker School says Walker teachers also felt the stress of trying to do all of their conferences in 2 days, which for some of our teachers, that meant 14 conferences each day. Teachers are hoping to be able to collaborate about the school calendar for next year. And Willow Wind says, teachers at Willow Wind had difficulty fitting in conferences. Meeting times with families were far too short, and some families asked to meet again at a later date to talk more about their child. Having conferences adjacent to the Thanksgiving holiday also meant many families were traveling and were unable to meet, even by Zoom. 3 days of conferences makes more sense for families and for teachers. So that's from the front lines. The meeting after you left was largely stress about conferences and debating whether the AMS, AHS only needs 2 days and elementary school needs 3 days. So that's just something that was talked about a lot. Okay.
All right, thank you. And next up, we have our Student Board Representative report.
All right. Good evening, everybody. The high school is super busy right now leading up to winter break. Girls and boys basketball have started their seasons, and they both have home games on Friday if you guys would like to go watch. Wrestling also had a successful last weekend, taking home many victories. Theater finished their showings of The Wizard of Oz, and they're hosting auditions for A Midsummer Night's Dream on February 15th and 16th. Next week is the last week before winter break, which we're all super excited for, and Holiday Spirit Week, where there's a different theme to dress to every day and activities. The Winter Fine Arts Festival is also tomorrow, and JSU yesterday hosted a very successful Hanukkah party.
And just a fun fact, the boys soccer head coach, Abdiaziz Guled, who many of us lovingly know as Bubba, got nominated as the 5A Conference's Coach of the Year. So, yeah. Congratulations to him. And then our Belonging Committee met to discuss a 5-month plan for what we hope to achieve and identified major goals to be affinity group recognition and communication with staff. We held an affinity rally to raise awareness of our student unions and alliances, and we are hoping to become more involved across the district student unions through some of the elementary schools and the middle school, as well as keep in touch with the District Equity Committee. And we are also in conversation with Ashland News to work on creating a youth column in their paper.
All right, thank you, Allison Milo. That sounds great. Okay, and next up, we have board reports. And I will take a volunteer to kick us off.
I'll start just to keep it going in this order around the dais. I went to Trails Winter Fair, which last night, geez, I almost said last week. Trails Winter Fair last night. I bought a bunch of freeze-dried candy made possible by Schools Foundation. When I went to bed, it was all there. And when I woke up, none of it was there. So that's good. I also went to Wizard of Oz closing night. I saw a lot of our colleagues there. I saw Delta, I saw you there. Joseph, I saw you there. It was great. I'm super proud of our students and staff, and I appreciate the quality of our arts programs. I watched the Corvallis School Board meeting last month to learn from the culmination of their consolidation process. They definitely did more run than walk. I've been doing a lot of coffee with community members and leaders. Ran into Delta doing the same, just listening to parents. And one of the coffee and conversation events was with Asante leadership to hear about their community hospital consolidation. I wanted to learn about their decision-making and planning process. And one of the things is, we're experiencing, all the institutions in Ashland, a changing climate of demographics and finances. And there's a couple ways to deal with that. Anytime you have a climate change, you want to do both adaptation and mitigation. And so far, we've just been talking about adaptation, but I also went to a bunch of comedy events this past weekend through the Sarcasm Festival, and you might ask what that has to do with schools, or you might say, what does that have to do with schools in the spirit of the Sarcasm Festival? But I want to recognize publicly and appreciate the work that Matt Hoffman, I didn't know you were going to be here tonight, but that Matt Hoffman and Montana Hauser, among a lot of other people, have been doing. So Matt was on the district's innovation committee on increasing enrollment by attracting and retaining families. Montana serves on a city committee. And their leadership in Storytown and Epic Ashland events make this a more vibrant city. And it really does the job of making this a place that people want to live. So that's the mitigation part of the climate change. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Dan.
I'll be brief. I had a lovely coffee with our head of the Ashland Schools Foundation, Erica Thompson. We had a good time getting to know each other, and she was able to help me understand the purpose of the foundation. And I really walked away feeling good about that. Not all schools foundations direct a good deal of their money toward teachers, making it available to teachers for their own innovation and the things that they're doing, and ours does. And I think that's quite special and unique, and it's really aligned with Ashland district values. So I was really pleased with that. I attended a revenue forecast meeting with the legislature. I'm watching the legislature, and I think that's important to keep an eye on. I visited Hellman visited the site council, and just to show my face. And I'm hopeful to go around to all the other elementary schools and visit the site councils and just say hello and show my face. I think that's important to make connections. I attended a very boring Accountability Act webinar, but I did attend it. And of course, I went to see the Wizard of Oz, which was just wonderful. What a wonderful esprit de corps, as they say. Those kids were really having a good time with each other. It was great. Lots of one-to-ones, as Dan talked about, with parents, and then also with my fellow board members. We're talking to each other and listening a lot. Yep, that's what I did. I hope to attend the Winter Fair at Willow Wind and Solstice at Trails. Yeah. Looking forward to it. Happy holidays, everybody, for sure. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Deltra. Well, I guess I'll go next since we're on a theme here. So I'm going to throw in a plug for the Winter Fine Arts Festival, which is at the high school tomorrow evening. I am on the board of AHA, which is the organization that runs it every year. That's the Ashland High Arts Association. So it's basically a booster club to support students in the arts. And it's a really amazing evening. Any of you who haven't done it, it's the one time in the year you have every single form of art on display. You have exhibits of students who have brought in their own work. So the kids in the textile classes and the art classes and drawing and everything is out there. And then there's also live performance from theater, choir, band, orchestra, and so pretty much every group. And you get a free dinner by our culinary arts students who, by the way, just won that inaugural competition. So I know there was a lot of publicity about that. So it's a really fun evening. It's I believe it starts at 5:30. There's some time to browse the exhibits, and then there's a live show and the dinner as well. So it's a great event every year. Yes, I went to the Wizard of Oz. That was amazing. I'm just going to put a shout out. I don't know if, again, if you guys saw it or not, but it was really extraordinary. The show had 2 separate casts. And so it was an enormous number of kids that were really working together, as well as a live pit. So it was such an incredible display of talent that we have. So I went to see it twice so that I could see the 2 casts, and they were both just so amazing. So that was really fun. And I went to an Ashland Sarcasm Festival event. So I'm glad I was supporting the schools by doing that. I'm really glad. That was so fun, and I hope they continue to do that. I think that was the first time we've done that. So, and I agree, that's such a great way to bring some life into this community. And other than that, gosh, I feel like I've been spending a lot of time on school board lately, but it really has just mostly been communication and talking to people and email and reading and listening. So it's been a good month. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Great, thank you. My last 3 weeks have been highly focused on just meeting with families, past educators, retired administrators. And I just want to thank everyone and the folks here tonight too, to just be present in this. I'm so grateful for the amount of creativity and the amount of centering of kids that the last 3 weeks of conversation has showed our community has. And I'm just very honored to be a part of it, and look forward to a later agenda topic for discussion.
All right, continuing the theme, I've been fortunate to be able to meet with and just listen to the perspective of several community members, and I hope to continue to do that as the process continues. A little shout out to fellow board member here for an endurance session of policy review that happened, and to the amazing Holly Rosser for organizing all of that so very well. I actually found it quite interesting and useful to do a deep dive on all of the policies that guide our, a lot of the policies that guide our district, and make some adjustments as needed. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you. And so next up, we have Superintendent Report with Dr. No, wait, did I miss something? Oh, no, board reports. Oh, public comment. How could I forget? Thank you, Joseph. Sorry. I'll put my glasses on for this. Okay. So next up, we will have public comments. And I have several this evening. So I will read our statement before we begin. The board welcomes visitors and values public comments that support the quality of education for our students. Regular school board meetings are held in public, but per Oregon open meeting law, the board cannot engage in discussion during this time. Those wishing to speak must submit a comment form to the board secretary before the meeting begins. When called, please state your name and any organization you represent. Comments are limited to 2 minutes and must be free of abusive language, personal attacks, or references to specific staff or departments. Personnel concerns must be directed through the appropriate administrative channels. Thank you for being here and for your commitment to our schools. Okay.
Rebecca, can I add one thing?
Sure.
I'll be the timekeeper. If you see me raise my hand, that means you have 15 seconds left. Okay.
Okay. Okay, so first up we have, I will do my best to pronounce correctly, Stacia Stimac. Did I get that right?
Mine is very short. Excuse me. Good evening. My name is Stacia, and I represent all the Ashland lifers. I was born right here in Ashland Community Hospital. I learned to swim at Daniel Meyer Pool. I learned ice skating downtown. I went to Bellevue Elementary when Mr. Jorgensen was principal. And I'm now waking up to a reality where each of those community institutions is at risk of closing. So I have to ask, what is going on? You are possibly proposing to shut down an elementary school that provides full public access. A school with bus transportation, IEP support, and no wait list. A school that serves all families, not just those who can navigate lotteries or afford alternatives. Where is the common sense logic in that? Bellevue is not a boutique option. It's a fully functional public school that removes barriers for working families, for children with special needs, and for families who rely on transportation so they have actually access to education. Closing, it doesn't solve a problem. It creates many, many more hardships. What we are seeing from leadership feels like one of two things. Either decisions are being made reactively without considering the full downstream impact on families and community, or issues are being allowed to fester until there are no quote-unquote other options left. Neither is acceptable. The solution is not to close a fully public elementary school. Ashland deserves better than decisions made out of panic. Let's get back to common sense logic. Please do better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have Ian Cropper.
Good evening. There we go. Good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Ian Cropper. Not an Ashland lifer, but I was born here and did grow up here, attended Bellevue Elementary School. had both fond memories of walking to school, and at the time it felt like it was the longest walk a child could take. I have a jumble of thoughts that I've put together, kind of accumulated through various writings that I've put into email forms and other communications that I've spoken and sent out over the last couple of days. As I've been sitting here, I've been staring at this seal behind all of you, noting the date that Ashland was incorporated, 1874. And it's interesting to think of how 19 years after that date, Bellevue was instituted as a school. So it's one of the oldest schools that we have in the Valley, and for that many years has been providing a service to the families that live here, my family being one of them. And as I've been, my wife and I, we moved away from here, ended up getting married elsewhere, lived in Colorado for a good number of years, and like so many others in our age group, we decided that we wanted to raise our kids in this community because it was just such an amazing experience. And children really thrived here. And the frustration that I have, and that I sense that we are seeing from a lot of parents that live here as well, is we're wondering if that was merely a memory. And we're wondering, is Ashland a city that is still building towards something, or if it's more in the George Washington arena where we're really good at strategic retreats. So I know that no official declaration has been made of what our future holds, but I encourage you all to, as was said before, rather than being forced into this choosing between bad situations, to really go with the slow option. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ashley Cropper.
Hello. I'm Ashley Cropper. I'm not with an organization, and that was my husband who just spoke. I'm a working mother of 2 little boys who are 3 and 7, and I really wanted to be here tonight. I even got a babysitter because I really wanted to be here with you. I was born and raised in Ashland, and then, as Ian mentioned, we moved away. We were in Colorado, and the place we lived in was consistently on a list for being America's most family-friendly city, and we left there to come here, to be in Ashland again, and raise our children here. I just couldn't think of a better community to be in, and with a stellar school system, from what I remembered. I am the one who actually started the petition, if you've seen it. It was started a few days ago, and it circulated around, and we have 200 plus, I have 200 plus signatures on it. It was in hopes of community members and parents to express their desire for the walk option. After talking to many parents, it became clear that numerous people chose the run option in that survey that was sent out by Dr. Hattrick. It felt like there was no other option and to just rip off the Band-Aid ASAP. But as the discussion has happened and many of those parents expressing how they wish so badly they could go back and change their response to walk, I felt like the community members and parents had maybe another option to voice once more again how they really felt. So I created that petition. And it's also in all your emails, so you can look at that. I sent that out to you today. I understand that rumor mills can happen. I totally understand. But I just have to sit here and acknowledge about Bellevue closing and how it's been part of a conversation. I know it was a little bit last year, and now it seems to be coming up again. It is, as Ian mentioned, the second oldest school in the Valley, one where my mom started the special ed program. I chose our neighborhood to move back to have my kids at Bellevue. I watched them all walk down to school, and it's a really wonderful sight to see, something that I feel like is reminiscent of the past. As you know, Croman Mills has been mentioned, 550 new homes right next to Bellevue being built. I think it's something important to consider and to acknowledge.
Time, ma'am.
I ask you to walk, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next, Matt Hoffman and Noelle Shelley.
Hello, board. my wife had to go home to take care of her kids. I'm here, to say that Ashland Sarcasm Festival and the Ashland School Foundation are not related, but they are, because there wouldn't be the Sarcasm Festival without the same kind of work that the School Foundation is doing. This whole mission started when I went to a meeting to find out about how we can bring more kids into the school district. I think some of the things that we did 4 years ago are just starting to take root, and we're just starting to see some of the light shining on our town again. So I've listened to a lot of people. I went to Briscoe, it's closed, so I know what that heartache feels like to have your school close. So obviously I'm partial to the schools that I grew up with. I also see the power of what Willow Wind and Trails have done. And I do feel that there's a larger conversation that needs to be had. As somebody that's not as emotionally invested in Bellevue, but I am, because I'm from Ashland, and I recognize that if you're driving up I-5, you come into Ashland, Oregon, Bellevue is the first school in the state. So something to think about, and I do think that it's time to walk and not run. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last speaker is Dennis Fries.
Hello. Nice sweater. My name is Dennis Fries. I'm a musician and a music educator, and I'm here to speak about the middle school band, 6th grade band. I'm sure you're all aware of the difficulty there. But just to reiterate, the middle school band, beginning band in 6th grade, has an average a group of 26 students. And that's a lot to manage when you figure there are about 10 instruments represented. That's a lot to manage. And I volunteer in the schools as well as teach privately. And I was there when Jennifer Carstensen started teaching the band at the middle school. And I was so enamored. She is just such a phenomenal teacher, so dedicated, with so much respect for the students. She demands a lot in her own way, but she gives so much more that everybody's compelled to be part of that. And when things happened this year and there wasn't a second band for the beginning band in 6th grade, she just didn't have it in her heart to say, I'm sorry, but, we're going to have to limit this. Well, who's not going to get in, So she said, I'll give it a try, and hopefully we can remedy this somehow. So now, rather than 26, there are 53 students that she's trying to manage. And it's taken a toll on her.
Sir, that is time.
Because she's just, she's so dedicated. So I would just really, I don't know the finances behind it, but I would just implore you to help this exceptional teacher in the great work she's doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you to everybody who spoke. I'm sure you're all aware. I just want you to know that later in the agenda, we will be having a discussion of the restructuring conversation. So stick around if you want to hear that. And anybody whose time ran out, if you want to send an email to the board, we do read all our email and respond to it. Thank you. Okay, next up we have Superintendent Report. Now, Dr. Hattrick.
All right, good evening. I'll keep this brief. I'm going to begin, as I try to always do, as restating our Rotary Student of the Month. This month, our Assistant Principal, Hilary Kusenza, presented our Rotary Student of the Month. Soli Lustman is a junior at Ashland High School whose passion for photography and digital media has made a lasting and visible impact on our school community. He is a familiar and welcome presence at athletic events and activities where he brings professionalism, warmth, and a strong work ethic as he captures moments that celebrate his peers and school spirit. Soli is respectful, reliable, and communicates with ease, earning the trust and appreciation of students, staff, and coaches alike. In the classroom, he's an engaged and thoughtful learner who contributes meaningfully to discussions and completes his work with care and precision. He brings a rational, insightful perspective to complex topics and demonstrates a level of maturity well beyond his years. Soli has also shown impressive initiative by developing his photography skills into a growing creative enterprise, spending countless hours refining his craft and expanding his portfolio. Most importantly, Soli is known for his positive, empathetic presence and his ability to enrich the learning environment wherever he is. He exemplifies the values of Ashland High School and represents our district with pride. We're grateful for the way he contributes to our community and proud to recognize him as the Rotary Student of the Month. Next, per policy IICA, I'm informing the board of upcoming out-of-state travel. Boys basketball will be playing in Wairika on December 16th, and wrestling may be, since we'll be gone, taking out-of-state travel on December 27th. So, there you have it. A couple of members of the leadership team attended the Oregon Education Law Conference put on by the Coalition of Oregon School Administrators and OSBA last week. Always an informative conference. I don't know if I'd say inspiring to hear updated laws and things to be concerned about, but very informative. So we'll continue to keep the board and community updated as things kind of progress in those areas. High school principal search is underway. We have a committee just conducting interviews. And just as a reminder, information about the entire process can be found on the Ashland High School website. Last weekend, I also attended the Wizard of Oz. Incredible, and just huge congratulations to everybody that made it possible. A lot of fun. The cell phone policy is posted on our website, on school websites, in newsletters. Full implementation of our bell-to-bell cell phone ban begins when we return from winter break on January 5th. So families, students, if you've not become familiar, please do so. And I know our student leaders are going to make sure that everybody's really excited about it, right? Good. This week we held our second District Equity Committee meeting. We'll be meeting monthly for the remainder of the school year. And just as a reminder, that's a Superintendent Advisory Committee. So periodically I'll be updating the board on what the committee's doing, but that is a private committee that will just update the board as things are happening. Also, the Superintendent Advisory Council met last night. This first one was one large group, but we're considering branching out into two groups again. And there will be information going out sometime in January to bring in new members so that we ensure that it's representing all schools, because we had some people trickle off. So we'll be figuring out how to fill in some gaps. So some information will go out there. And then just finally, I hope that our staff and families have a wonderful holiday and winter break. Happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Okay, next up we have a student investment account grant agreement, and I'm going to get it right this time. Erica Beck-Bratton is. Oh, is that better? It's like a little tongue twister.
My other last name was a first name, though, so it was like, then people forgot my first name and called me Lindsay all the time, so I can't win. Okay, well, I'm here I think you have a copy of the grant agreement for the Student Investment Act, and there is only one time where this needs to be approved by the board, and this is it. So tonight, I am asking the board to approve our 2025 through 27 student investment account.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Then I will take a motion.
I move to approve grant agreement, Student Success Act, Student Investment Account.
All second.
All in favor?
Okay.
We made your job easy tonight.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Okay. And now we get to the consolidation engagement timeline presentation. So this will be led by Superintendent Joseph Hattrick.
All right. So as Holly gets the PowerPoint set up, I want to just kind of pause and frame this presentation first. So it's important to emphasize a few important points. This presentation tonight is about process under which the Ashland School District will undergo as we begin to consider how we address the changing needs of the school district. In a moment, I'm going to talk about what got us here, but this is about district process. This is not an elementary school process or focused on individual schools. This is a school district opportunity. Tonight's decision is not driven solely by budgetary constraints. In fact, we're improving financially each month, which you heard from Sherry earlier. So as we analyze survey data, I used a layered approach. And what I mean by that is, so decisions are being made not with a crisis mindset. And what I mean by that is the crisis mindset would be purely financial. So we're not basing decisions based on a financial need, but one that's in the best interest of Ashland School District and the community. Once it was determined the best path forward, then the budget is analyzed to determine how we could leverage our budget to support the process. So as I begin this presentation, I know that there's a great deal of anxiety. I want us all to just pause, take a deep breath, because the Ashland School District's in an incredible place. It's clear looking at the room, looking at the survey responses that I'll be presenting shortly, that the community loves our schools. We've been in what feels like a state of crisis since I've been here. It feels like 10 years, but it's only 18 months. And it just feels like we've been in this crisis mindset rather, but I want us to reframe it that this is an opportunity. We're in a moment of an opportunity. So I want us to remember that we're going to be okay, and Ashland School District's in a great position to thrive. So if you can cue up the PowerPoint, I'm just going to jump in. So the title of tonight's presentation is the Consolidation Engagement Timeline. So again, and I'm just going to preface this so that the board understands the purpose of tonight, is I'm presenting this to the board and our community to understand the how. Like, what are we as a community going to do to even engage in this discussion? I am not proposing closures. I'm not proposing anything tonight other than how we as a community are going to come together to engage. This doesn't require board action, but I'm looking for board support and questions so that there's some really good clarity around what's going on. So first, I want us to pause and look at why we're even having this conversation. So this takes us back to last year when I started, but even before that. So first, we've been facing declining enrollment. This is a multi-year trend that necessitates a review of current operational scale. And unfortunately, we have a demographer's report that shows multiple years in the future. And when the demographer created this report, there was 3 scenarios: high, middle, and low. And it's pretty much on track for the low scenario. So that's one area. We have rising operational costs, facility mismatch, I'm calling it, but that's basically looking at our infrastructure of having fewer students spread over the same number of campuses. We need to look at long-term viability of our campus, of our district, and then optimizing for quality learning. So I want to talk about the survey. I was incredibly impressed with the response rate of our survey. 515 families and community members responded to the survey. 171 staff members responded to the survey. And in there was one narrative opportunity in each survey. 360 narrative comments were given. So this analysis incorporates detailed information to understand emotional tone and readiness for change, providing a foundation for the district's next steps. Hours and hours and hours were spent not only looking at the quantitative data, but also the correlation between not only responses that there were quite a few unknown, and looking at the correlation between the reason for unknown that matched the narrative comments, and then trying to look at the data in as many ways as possible. So, the responses were pretty equal across groups. So we had family responses, staff responses, and then I looked at the combined of all stakeholder groups. And the comprehensive engagement process revealed a perspective that there's no single option that generated a majority. So, family responses, 40 to 42%, staff responses, 36 to 44, and when you look at all stakeholders combined, 39%, 43%. You're going to ask me which is which, aren't you?
Yeah, I was just about to ask
Well, I
that.
got to zoom in.
Thanks.
My eyes are
Because my eyes
Hang on.
can't do that.
That's right. Orange is walk, blue is run, and gray is unknown. So a huge margin of unknown. So you can essentially say a 50-50 split. So having a near even split between walking and running really makes it difficult. Or there's an opportunity in there. There were priorities that emerged throughout in both the quantitative and the qualitative data that I'm going to walk us through. So first, stability for all. We heard this in all the surveys. Stakeholders fear abrupt or poorly implemented change that disrupts learning environments, relationships, and routines. Second, protecting programs is very important. Ashland, we love our programs. That's academics, that's arts, music, CTE, and electives. They're core to who we are, and it's our identity. It's critical to enrolling more students in the future, but it's also important to retaining our students and retaining who we are. And also transparency in data. Community wants to understand why these decisions are being considered, how they fit within a long-term plan, and also when these decisions are made, the why behind it. Additional priorities, staffing and support. Staff emphasized the need for sustainable class sizes, caseloads, and student supports. Families shared concerns about how staffing changes would impact students. And then we need to continue to just think through what different scenarios mean. So there's actually a lot of reason as we start to talk about consolidation, how that could actually decrease workloads, but that depends on the types of engagement that we have. Emotional impact was another priority. Both groups expressed apprehension around school closure and long-term effects on neighborhood cohesion, student belonging, and district identity. It's really important that no matter what pace we go, we need to talk about and explore benefits of innovative K-12 strategic planning. Like I said at the beginning, this is not an elementary school issue. This isn't a single site issue. This is the Ashland School District exploring how we can be the best school district in Oregon, how we can continue to evolve and provide every opportunity for our students. And that is not a one-year plan. That is not an intervention. This is our long-term plan. So 5 years, 10 years, 15 years in the future, this is our opportunity. And so there was this paradigm of neither group wanted decisions rushed nor prolonged. I know, it's wonderful. It's a great position to be in to make a decision, right? So stakeholders favored a timeline that ensured thoughtful planning, honored community input, and allowed successful implementation and minimized repeated disruptions. I've heard that since I moved to Ashland and I've been saying this since we started to address the budget issue. We need to get off the roller coaster. That feels like a repeat. I can only imagine someone that doesn't like a roller coaster getting to the end and they say, "Oh no, you're going to go again." We don't want to do that. So it's time to start thinking through that. So I know that the survey had two options. I'm presenting three options to the board and community: walk, jog, and run. So the walk timeline begins in the fall of 26, implementation in the fall of 27. It's an extended timeline with a prolonged uncertainty. JOG begins January of 26, so as soon as we get back from winter break, with data review implementation no earlier than 27-28. And then running begins immediately with implementation in 26. We heard some comments tonight even about kind of the ripping off the Band-Aid approach. So tonight I'm recommending to the board and the community the JOG approach. This is a moderate-paced option that begins with robust data review and engagement in January of 26, moving slowly towards structured exploration of consolidation or reconfiguration for implementation no earlier than 27-28 school year. And I want to clarify something. When we say the words consolidation or reconfiguration, that doesn't mean sell, that doesn't mean close, that means innovate, that means get creative. The one thing that I've never said in these conversations, at least I don't think so, people will probably look to see if they can prove me wrong, and that's always possible. I have not pinpointed a school or a program. That is not my goal. In fact, I don't want to make this decision. I want this to be a community effort. That's why the JOG approach is ideal, because it's the longest path. We start immediately, we work this year, next year together to figure out what's best for this community and the school district. So what it would look like is data analysis, scenario development, and initial engagement beginning in January through spring, so the rest of the school year. In the fall of 26, community feedback, impact analysis, and implementation planning. Winter and spring of next year, final scenarios presented, board approval, transition planning, and then implementation of whatever that looks like in 27-28. This approach allows the district to reinvest any, and I want to really highlight this. We heard the financial plan, the financial report. Reinvest any ending fund balances from this school year that's above the budgeted ending fund balance into next year, so that we can also address some of those pinch points that we've had during this kind of transition year, so that not only can we be planning for the future, but we can address the current reality so that next year can also feel a little bit better as well. So it's kind of a win-win approach. Did that make sense? Okay. So this JOG approach aligns because, one, like I mentioned, rushing a decision for next year, it's a quick implementation and emotional risk. Extending uncertainty over multiple years also just builds anxiety, erodes trust, and this decision fatigue is just going to keep going. What the JOG model allows: adequate time for data-driven exploration, engagement to explore revenue options and innovative programs, robust engagement with families and staff, thorough implementation planning, and a stable timeline that reduces uncertainty. So there's 5 key benefits to this approach. First, it protects students and our programs. It ensures that there's program continuity, staff involvement in solutions, and preservations of our identity as a district with rich offerings, and the hope that those can only be expanded upon. Second, addresses facilities and staffing needs. This allows us the time that we need to finalize enrollment projections, hopefully have a positive impact on those. Detailed facilities analysis, identify staffing implications, explore facility reuse, and develop transition supports. Third, supports fiscal stabilization. This is our responsibility. We are stewards of this district. So position the district to make long-term decisions, avoid reaction. Again, the crisis was last year. We're on the upswing, even though it still feels like a crisis. We have to be responsive, but we're not going to be reactionary anymore. This needs to be the end of this cycle so that now we're building for the future. Once we're done, we're looking 10 years out. So no more reactionary changes, communicates unified direction and strengthens trust through transparency. This enables emotional processing, so we have to keep in mind the human impact. We heard that tonight. Avoids abrupt decisions and offers genuine opportunities to shape outcomes through community. We can't ignore the need for change. Change has to happen. When you all hired me, it was, let's address the deficits. We didn't know how deep the deficit was, and I'm talking literally deficits. But we can't say, please fix this, except if it impacts me. So we have to acknowledge the need for change, but that can be a huge opportunity to make this district exactly what it needs to be. Because it creates innovation opportunities, all levels, K through 12. That's every school, every student, every grade level. Will explore best practices and innovative solutions, ensuring cutting-edge, developmentally appropriate educational opportunities to ensure excellence in education. And I truly believe that then Ashland School District will become a model district in Oregon and probably beyond. I think by just thinking about that and getting excited about that, for me, it takes us out of the comfort zone of like status quo. We may not be choosing this route, but by being pushed into this, we're out of our comfort zone and we can make something amazing. Most districts don't have this opportunity. We do. So it really can push us to be that model district for Oregon. So I'm hopeful for that. So here's some more details. I mentioned kind of the overview, but I'm going to get into specifics here. So winter and spring of this year, so now until June, we're going to finalize the refined enrollment, staffing, and facility analysis, develop initial configuration scenarios. I don't know how many that'll be or what that'll look like. Conduct targeted staff and family engagement through surveys and town halls, and present preliminary scenarios to the board for discussion, not a decision at that point, all the way out in June. Maybe earlier, but June. Then the fall of next year, gather community feedback or refined scenarios. On refined scenarios. Conduct impact analyses, so that's programmatic, financial, enrollment, and staffing. That'll be ongoing. And then start to draft full implementation plan options. Then next winter and spring, present final scenarios to the board, get board approval, and then begin transition planning with staff and families with the goal of full implementation for the 27-28 school year. And again, I don't know what that looks like until we fully engage with our staff and our families and our community of what implementation even means. So based on this, based on the feedback from families, community members, staff, the survey, emails, conversations, it is my recommendation to the board that we support the JOG timeline. There wasn't one consensus, but through all of my research and conversations, this is what's best for our community. And I want to just, I quoted myself in my PowerPoint, but I want to just say it. While we could see this as a challenge, it's my belief that this is a huge opportunity for the Ashland School District, where we can realize our full potential through thoughtful engagement and responsible stewardship. And I do believe this to be true of this plan. I believe in this community. I believe in the passion around this project. I know that there's so many changes going on in our community that all of us feel the sense of, I don't know if it's hurt, I don't know if it's fear, I don't know if it's just unrest. So I don't know why Ashland School District doesn't lead the charge in Ashland. There needs to be a level of stability, and this potential change doesn't need to be instability. This actually can be a stabilizing force for our community as we lead these efforts towards figuring out what is Ashland, I don't know, has Ashland ever said Ashland 2.0? Ashland 2.0 looks like. I didn't brand that. Please don't use that. I don't like that. But I think that's what we need. We need to be able to hang on to something, work together, and figure out where are we going as a district and what do our students need from us. So this is going to honor the care of our community that our community is asking for, ensures operational feasibility, and it positions us to move forward with clarity, strength, and sustainability. So as a reminder, I'm not asking for board action. I'm asking for board support, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
How about Ashland Plus?
I like that.
Is that better?
Dr. Tyler, could you go back to the detailed timeline slide, please?
I've got a question for you, Dr. Hattrick, on this. who is going to be doing the work of these steps?
Well, everybody, however. Some of that, when I mentioned the ending fund balance that would be in addition to what we budgeted, I do think it would be advisable to also have a consultant to help support some of these actions. But it will be our leadership team, myself, cabinet, that will be leading a lot of this work to facilitate, but it is the community. I would, though, I hope to have your support in having a consulting either firm or person to help, because this is going to be a 1.5-year process. So that's what I'm initially thinking.
Just some initial thoughts to start the conversation. This is, the first time that we're seeing this presentation as well. Two things that I am concerned about. One is our ability as a district to communicate with our families throughout this longer term process. So I would look, Dr. Hattrick, to your thoughts around, do we need to increase our communication capacity? If that's the consulting support we're looking for, first and foremost, I want our families and staff to know what's going on when throughout the whole thing.
So we have held off for 1.5 years on a communications position. That is, before I even moved here, that was one of our biggest deficit areas that I kept hearing. And so we're also looking whether that be a consultant's role, or we actually finally, our website's probably 10 years out of date, all of our social medias. So it might be time to just say that's a priority enough, because that also comes with marketing that can have a positive impact on enrollment.
Right.
So we're looking at that.
Yeah, great. And my request would be, at a minimum, a communication specialist focused specifically on this conversation. The other thing that I see missing, likely not intentionally, but just implicitly, is basing these types of conversation decisions on our values and what is our priorities in having these conversations, particularly as we want to compare configuration scenarios.
Yeah, that'll definitely be part of the initial engagement in town halls.
This isn't so much, I guess, a question. It's just a few observations I wanted to share. I know we've had a few discussions over the last couple weeks about this. One thing I'm looking for, I'm pleased by, is this slower approach. I think that with anything of this potential magnitude, taking the time to measure very carefully what its impact will be and make sure that everybody's fully engaged in a solution is vital. Things that I find encouraging. So your track record over the last year with the budget crisis, the degree of transparency with which you approach that, and the degree of engagement and openness. I don't know if you all remember those budget forums, but there was some real vulnerability that happened there, and I wouldn't say that I exactly look forward to it. I will willingly participate in being there for that kind of scenario with this, because I think that's a big part of what got us through the budget crisis. So I look forward to that kind of leadership moving into this as well. And then the one thing that I just want to reinforce, I think it's normal that as soon as this topic comes up, scenarios come up, and everybody starts talking at every level. I've heard scenarios from neighbors to teachers to everything, right? And that's normal, but it's also not the plan, right? So if people are speculating on what they think it will look like, this is what it looks like right now, is starting to build a plan. And a big part of that plan is community engagement and listening, and making sure that we're all on board, or at least as on board as possible, with whatever potential solution there is. So just a moment of pause for that. And I like the last little bit is I like the tone of looking at it as a district as a whole. Not just are we going to trim this or trim that, but taking it as an opportunity, because we've all seen that the status quo is struggling, just period, in general. And we do need to take a look at it and think about where we reinvent ourselves, where we redefine ourselves in order to thrive better moving forward. So looking at that as a district as a whole at every level, I'm looking forward to that process.
Thank you.
Building on that, I appreciate in your presentation that you acknowledge that there's stuff broader than the district going on. And that's one of the things I heard from community members is like, look, there is stuff that is being worked on in parallel that is that will inform our process. So I like to hear that we're leaving room for that. We got a letter from the mayor that said, look, these are the things that the city is working on and will be going on. So I appreciate your consideration of that.
What if I keep going? Dr. I know that you did meet with your advisory group yesterday, and that you also met with your leadership team on this as well. Are you able to share any of the feedback you heard through either of those groups?
Well, not with the advisory group because it was yesterday and I did not tell them what I was presenting. All I did was correct them on their perception of what would not be presented because the perception was that we were closing something. And so I corrected that, but I would not share with them what I was presenting, even though they tried to trick me. So those advisory members that are watching, they did not. The presentation with the leadership team, it was met with support, a sense of relief and inspiration. Some hope comes with this, because not only does it have a timeline attached, it takes us out of this continual when, what's next, and with that, the opportunity to truly innovate, possibly reinvent, possibly think really outside the box to define who we are. And so there was some excitement around that. Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
And Dr. You also, I know last month at our last board meeting, it was really framed as the board's consideration between the run and the walk. And now it's coming more as a recommendation that you're looking for the board support on. Can you speak a little bit to the board's decision point and how the board will be engaged throughout this process?
You bet. Kind of as Russell said, I would like the board to be involved throughout all of the engagement steps, and I'll continue to keep the board informed. The reason that I'm not asking for action is, as a reminder, the role of the board is three main goals. One is policy. Two is hiring and evaluating the superintendent. And third is the budget, approving the budget. This is truly operational. This is a process. This is similar to a human resources process about what process we would employ to hire an administrator. And so while this process is much longer in scope, at the point of, I don't want to give too many scenarios because then people dream up scenarios, but board action would come when there are, final solutions or final recommendations. Because this is just process, it's truly just operational about how we're doing the work. Mm-hmm.
The timeline and the way we go about it, the process. Recognizing that this is a process that is going to lead to a policy decision. A request maybe to the chair is that moving forward at every single board meeting, we have it as an agenda item of just an update.
What policy decision?
Whatever the, let me get the words you use here, final scenario. I'm assuming that whatever final scenario would have to be approved by the board.
Depends on what it is. So if it's simply programmatic, so.
Then we'd approve the budget that would approve those
right,
programs.
So yeah. So it really depends on what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but my request, given the importance of this one to our entire community, is to have a agenda item like we do with all of our regular reports.
Sure.
To be included monthly.
Okay. Maybe February. There
Yeah,
won't be.
start in February. We can
Yeah,
start
there
in
won't be
spring.
anything in January.
Don't worry.
Okay.
So I guess one thing I'd maybe like to see, I mean, not necessarily you have to change your presentation, but just, I think we're all sort of thinking about it, and from what Dan said, that this is, yes, we're looking at our district and how we can reconfigure to make ourselves, the ideal scenario, but it is not in a vacuum, right? We are looking at our position in the community. We are looking at the wider community. We're looking at neighboring school districts. We're looking at all our partners within the city and the surrounding area. So maybe I'd just like to see a little bit in that data gathering where we are also reaching out to all our partners and to the wider community, and how that all fits together when we're talking about housing development and possible partnerships with SOU, community colleges, or neighboring school districts where we can sort of share some resources and develop some stronger partnerships.
Yeah, and a lot of those things are currently in the works. So just because this is talking about our process, but yeah, those will be embedded throughout the engagement. Absolutely.
And on that note, can you talk a little bit about even getting to this presentation, what your engagement with folks like the president of SOU and RCC and city government have been?
Well, so I have standing meetings with all of them on a monthly basis. So we have, it's called Ashland Coalition. We meet once a month to talk about kind of big priorities, things that we're working on. So that already is happening. I actually met with our city manager this week and just kind of talked about the process that they're about to go into around strategic planning and how we can take part in that, possibly how that their work can also replicate some of our engagement processes. So we've had those discussions. We have a lot of conversations, especially with SOU, and how our students can benefit from the partnership as well as our staff. So those are ongoing conversations. Mm-hmm.
And I would just say, speaking to the board here, on the initiation of this process, it's going to be one of my goals to work with all of you to keep other major things as much as possible off the plate of our staff, recognizing that this is going to be a big lift.
So assuming that the board supports this, my goal will be by the end of the day tomorrow to send out a letter to all of our families, just recapping this in hopes to decrease rumors and put facts only. The same will be for media. I'll put out a press release. Give me until the morning, David. I want to just make sure that we're all on the same page. There's nothing that kind of deteriorates this type of plan than the rumor mill starting. And so, just like Russell said, this is the plan. There are no schools mentioned, as you noticed. There is no targets like that. I want this to be collaborative. So, I don't know how you want to wrap this up, but.
Should we just give you a thumbs up or thumbs down? Yeah, we don't have to vote. Thumbs up.
I just want to say one more thing, and that's that I'm really welcoming this as an opportunity to stay out of a reactive space and into a responsive. We got to be responsive, but there's so much reactivity that is surrounding us these days, and that is coming from on high or whatever, and it is infusing our environment. And we can locally, we can as a city and as a community stay in a place of just stay away from that reactive place, because that doesn't get us, that's not a great place to be, is it? I feel it all the time, and I don't want to feel it with my community. So I'm glad for that. I'm glad to stay away from that.
Well, I'm just going to say, I know for all of us, none of us joined the school board to sit on the status quo. So I think I am grateful for this opportunity to really have a bigger discussion that sometimes you feel like is lacking. You know, we're just so focused on how can we solve this problem, how can we solve this problem. Now we get to sit back and really look at the big picture and say, hey, how can we really make this the best it can possibly be? So, thank you.
Thank you.
I also, I was very relieved that we didn't have an overwhelming mandate from our community to run, because I was so worried about staff, students, families for this, even the rest of the school year.
All right, well, with that, I think we will move on. Sorry. So our next item is OSBA election. The board will vote on the Southern Region OSBA Board of Directors position 5. And there's some suggested wording in there. So if anybody wants to make a motion, this is just to approve the nominated representative for the Board of Directors for OSBA.
And there's only one candidate, and it's Jay
Yeah.
Chick from Rogue River. And he's great.
Anyone? I can give you the language.
I'll do it.
Oh, you got it?
Oh, go. I move that the Ashland School Board support Jay Chick for the Southern Region OSBA Board of Directors position number 5.
All in favor?
Yep.
All right. So approved. Thank you. And that brings us to announcements and appointments. We have a vacancy on the Budget Committee. Oh, wait, was there something special I'm supposed to read here? The Ashland School District has 2 vacancies on the Budget Committee, of which one will be filled by a member of the District Equity Committee. The other open position will be posted on our website. Applications will be accepted through January 9th, 2026. To be eligible for appointment, applicants must be registered voters within the Ashland School District, have resided in the district for at least 1 year, and not be an officer or employee of the district. For further questions or further information, please contact Board Secretary Holly Rosser. I also want to announce that in executive session this evening, the board approved having COSA develop a superintendent evaluation for us, and that will be offered at no charge to the district. So we are grateful to Krista Parent, who has organized that. Sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah. And that we will have the chair and the vice chair be the point of contact with COSA throughout that process.
Okay, sorry. Thank you. Okay, and the next regular session will be held Thursday, January 8th, 2026, here in City Council Chambers at 6:30 p.m. There is no work session in December because of the holidays. All right, and with that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for attending.